These are the Himalayas. Here, Chomolungma, mother goddess of earth, sleeps under the ice-covered peaks. Here lies Everest.
Everest is the most special mountain in the world. It has a magnetic attraction for climbers. It's irresistible.
It's a very big mountain with a very big reputation.
I think I will be emotional seeing it for the first time. Obviously I've only seen it in pictures, but from the north side it is a beautiful mountain.
No matter what you aspire to as a mountaineer, I think Everest is still the highest place on earth. It's just got that magical cachet to it.
I think anybody that goes to Everest is risking their life a little bit. You have to accept that. It is a dangerous sport, high altitude mountaineering, and a lot of people have been to Everest, some and come back.
If you go out to Everest and you're not afraid of the mountain, you're not actually giving it the respect that's due. A lot of people have died up there, and a lot of very good people.
For the past 2 weeks, Trans-World Sport has followed the Everest 2000 British Army expedition as they've trained and prepared for an assault on the highest peak in the world. This week we join them in Tibet to find out whether their year of training has been enough. With a team of 9 climbers, 3 base camp crew, 3 high-altitude Sherpas and 6 additional Sherpas, plus 35 yaks, 10 yak herders and 3.5 tons of equipment, it's not long before the desolate expanse of rock beneath Everest starts to resemble a home from home. Their home, otherwise known as base camp, is situated at the mouth of the Rongbuk Glacier. From here, they'll start to move equipment up the mountain to progressively higher camps. Yaks are able to reach as far as Advanced Base Camp, or Camp 3, and will carry loads of up to 50 kilograms each. From Advanced Base Camp, it's up to the team to carry the loads, which itself is part of the necessary acclimatization program. Unlike George Mallory, if things get too much for the climbers, then modern technology can always lend a helping hand.
What we're doing here is we've got JMO inside this piece of equipment, which is the portable altitude chamber. It's used for treating severe altitude sickness, although here we're just testing the piece of equipment. Essentially it's an airtight sleeping bag. It's got an altimeter in with them at the moment. That's showing there's a simulated descent of about 2,000 metres. JMO, how are you?
I'm fine. Everything's going good here.
He says he's fine. He did have a mild headache before he went in. His headache's gone.
However, life on the mountain throws up any number of headaches.
Oh, it's a good one. We like that.
But not everything is to the team's satisfaction. 2 weeks after their arrival, the bad weather begins to show. K2, the second highest peak on Earth, may be the most feared and dangerous of all the world's mountains, but Everest should never be underestimated. On average, for every 7 people who reach the summit, 1 will die. In 1996, commercial climbing was reaching its peak, with inexperienced climbers paying top dollar to be escorted to the summit. It was thought that as long as you had enough money and enough ambition, you too could stand on top of the world. That year, 15 lives were lost.
All indicators point to the fact that there could be a rerun of the disaster of '96, with an awful lot of people going for the summit on the day, and when the weather window dictates that that's the day that you go, an awful lot of people being stuck in one place and people having to wait around, so there could be a major problem with safety.
Although there are no fatalities on the team, 2 members are forced to leave the expedition. Rob Facer with high-altitude pulmonary edema and Dominic Faulkner with a retinal hemorrhage. With dwindling team numbers, Anderson chooses the 2 strongest climbers for a summit attempt. Accompanied by Na Temba Sherpa, or 7-Up as he's known affectionately to the boys due to his 7 previously successful attempts, Dan White and Mark James leave Camp 6 on the morning of May the 18th. Forgive the camera work here, but the boys are already above 8,000 meters. This is where hypoxia begins to set in and every step becomes labored. Even dead bodies litter the route. This is known as the death zone, where rescue is virtually impossible.
Between the first step and the second step, there's a very, very narrow path with the Kanchung face dropping down vertically 10,000 feet on your left, and 6 inches to the right there's a steep rock face going down to the East Rongbuk Glacier. and that had no rope on it. Leading up to the second step, there was some rope fixed with a very delicate traverse towards it, but the second step being the crux of the route, when I got there I was very, very psyched up and just pulled my way straight up the top of it.
In some ways, it's even worse at base camp. They can only wait and hope.
It's gone 11 o'clock on Thursday, but Dan White and Mark James have both now gone above the second step. We knew that about 45 minutes ago, an hour ago, and it's about an hour and a half task to the summit from there. We're now waiting for their call from the summit.
When we got to the top of the second step, we moved off and we decided to stop and change oxygen cylinders, and from that point you could see the summit triangle very clearly, and it didn't appear to be too far away.
That is when I realised that we have achieved our aim. We were still about an hour and a half away. However, looking at the summit pyramid and then looking at the time and the weather, I knew that we achieved our goal.
We climbed through a rock band, and JMO asked me what the altitude was because I had an altimeter with me. According to my watch, we were already above Everest. At that time, the visibility was down to about 2 to 3 metres, which made it very dangerous because of the huge cornices. So Natemba led, and as if by magic, the clouds cleared and we could see the summit ahead of us about 100 metres away.
After a year of training and 2 months spent on the mountain, Dan White, Mark James and Natemba Sherpa, about to be baptised 8 up, finally realised their dream.
Broadsword, this is Danny Boy. This is Danny Boy. Over.
Ian, we just got to the summit. We're closing in a bit, but we're both really pleased. The 10% superb is today's climb up here, over.
Dan, that's brilliant news. We're all delighted for you down here, over.
This is on top of the world, looking down on creation.
Well, it's midday on the 18th of May, and Mark James and myself just summited Mount Everest from the North Ridge, and we believe we're the only British soldiers on a military expedition who have ever done so, and we're only the 4th British soldiers ever to have summited for a military expedition, and also we're the first for well over 25 years, so we're pretty pleased.
But an expedition is only judged a success when all return safely to sea level. Despite frostbite and snow blindness, this team are successful. We salute the members of the Everest 2000 British Army expedition.